Hey everybody, my name's Nick and welcome to my YouTube channel, Timber Creek Muzzleloading. Recently I've seen a lot on Facebook and Instagram, different things on, getting younger people into our hobby, the muzzleloading hobby, the 18th century. Getting people in, keeping people in, how do we recruit people? Got me thinking, I was blessed to be able to grow up in this culture, this lifestyle with my dad, my mom, my dad's friends, their friends. We would camp at Friendship, Indiana a lot, and I met a lot of heroes down there. Met a lot of guys and gals that some are still with us and some aren't. There was a lot of really great people I've met down there that helped mentor me, teach me, give me things. They go to an old feller's camp and he's got an extra pouch laying around or a little patch knife or maybe a tomahawk. Well, those people are still out there, but it's harder to connect those people with the younger people, I think, unless you actually get them to an event. So the reason I'm making this video is I'd really like to just talk about different ways, if you are interested in joining the 18th century, living history, hobby, reenacting, whatever you want to call it, whatever that looks like in your eyes. Some people do, they do treks. I have a lot of kids, so I can't do treks. So we camp. We set up, I set up a wedge tent. We set up a whole camp, and we'll go down to Friendship, Indiana at the NMLRA shoot, and we'll camp for a weekend or 4 or 5 days, something like that. And there's other great people like Alex with the Frontier Trading Company and Ethan at I Love Muzzleloading. And I know there's a lot of other people out there that have done cool overnight treks into the woods by themselves with minimal gear, and that's awesome. And I hope one day I'm able to do that. But I think when we're trying to get people in this hobby, it can be very intimidating. When I started out, I had a lot of hand-me-down stuff. My mom made my clothes, things like that. But if you don't have those resources, where do you go? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I posted on my Instagram the other day some groups that you can get in. It's a lot of buy-sell trade groups. There's new stuff, hand sewn, machine sewn. There's pouches, different things, powder horns, accoutrements, camping gear, stuff like that, that you can get new and used. And there's a lot of good deals on there. I will say be careful. Make sure the person has been on Facebook for a while. Like, just do your research before you make a deal. I've never been burned. I've bought quite a few things from there. I've bought a couple different tents. I've bought a lot of gear over the last 4 or 5 years that's got me to where I'm at now. So you can start out there, and when you got a new person coming in, you don't need a lot. If you're wanting to just come to an event for a day and you want to dress, you're going to need a shirt, some trousers or breeches, knee breeches, maybe some moccasins or some shoes, and a hat, and a pouch. And I know for years, you go around and you look at all these people that have all this amazing stuff. And I realized now, later in life, that it all comes in time. I shot a Traditions Kentucky rifle for many years, and I think when I got it, it was $250 years ago. It's probably 20 years ago. Recently, 3 years ago, I was able to get a handmade rifle from 18th Century Arms. Adam Dobb made it, and it's a beautiful rifle. But you don't have to start out with something like this. You can get on different forums, different things, and find a cheaper gun. You don't have to have the best of the best to start out with. Now, what I do recommend is do your research and find out what you want to portray. For me, I went back and forth. I started out when I was real young I wanted to be a mountain man and a buckskinner. That was kind of the way of the world in the 90s and early 2000s. Now it's more of the Eastern long hunter, and I've started to do research on Daniel Boone and different clothes he would wear. So my advice would be to find something you want to do some research, and just start small. Find little things. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get into this hobby. You can spend a lot of money getting into this hobby, but you don't have to. So I encourage everybody, if you want to start small. Get a shirt, get some pants, find a used set of moccasins if you will, or make some. There's always people, like I said, that are getting rid of stuff. So do that. I think I know I'm kind of rambling in this video, but I'm just excited, and I want people to get into this hobby. I recently was able to sit down with quite a few people at a new job I started, and they're like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, well, I make 18th century pouches, hunting pouches. Like, they looked at me like I was crazy, and then I showed them pictures and stuff, and it's like, how do you even get into that? So I'm like, let's talk about it. But that's where I would start. Reach out to people, reach out to me, reach out to, you know, Alex at Frontier Trading Company, Ethan at I Love Muzzleloading, different guys, other people that I've met through social media do amazing things. So, if you want to get into 18th century stuff, join a club like the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association. Get on, I believe it's reenactors.org. I know Ethan's got a link on his page at ilovemuzzleloading.com where you can find events. Go to the Kalamazoo Living History Show. Go to the CLA event in Lexington. And if you're not anywhere near this part of the world, there's got to be something somewhere. So get online, search it out, and just reach out to people and ask questions. You'll find many people in this hobby want to share information, that they want to welcome people. You will get a sour apple every once in a while that's going to criticize how many stitches per inch on your pouch or your shirt, or if it's made out of the correct material or not, and there are events like that, and I respect that. And I think it's awesome that there are those events where it can be hardcore and extremely historically accurate. I think it's amazing. But I welcome you to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you are interested in getting into the hobby. I'd love to point you in the right direction. And a great event to start at is the NMLRA and the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association shoots down at Friendship, Indiana, that's held in June and September. They hold other shoots throughout the year, but those are the events, where you can go, and you don't have to have everything. If you got a canvas tent and that's all you got, and if you got it, my kids sleep on an air mattress in our tent. I want to make it comfortable for them. You don't get judged for that. It doesn't have to be 100% historically accurate to be there, like some other events are, rightfully so. But reach out to me if you have any questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to give you some information, and I look forward to making more videos. Thanks.